So it's the legacy of the comic book stores in Brunei for the last maybe 20 years has always been a single shop. Like in the 90s there was like maybe 3, and then around the late 90s it was just one shop, and then that mantle has been carried forward for a while. So I watch these characters in a medium outside of comic books. I watch them in movies, I watch them in cartoons, and I found that the most intellectually challenging, morally challenging, philosophically challenging stories I've ever read in my life were in the pages of a comic book.
Besides the art, it's also the stories. I remember one of the very first story that I read was Venom and Spider-Man. How Spider-Man would struggle, and Venom will always come after him. They will go back and forth, and there's always a story of some sort of what's happening, and it got me intrigued as a young boy. Or how Spider-Man was such a young kid and he would struggle with his normal life, and then here comes the bad guy, out to get him.
Comics is more than just fancy drawings. It's like a pulse on the society's consciousness. So take a Wonder Woman for example. Even at one time during the 90s, she even lost her powers, I think. And it always sort of reflected what society was going through. And comics was the medium in which they tell the story, or they sort of respond to this need in the society. Like they're looking for hope, they're looking for a change.
If not, most of the characters are very relatable. For example, Spider-Man, he has a lot of very human problems like money, job, girlfriend, mother, parents. And in that way, if you were to pick up a comic and you would read about Spider-Man, you can feel related. You can understand what he's going through, and it's very immersible, and I feel like people should read a lot of comics to experience all these kind of characters, all these kind of stories.
We do have similarities as well. It does show that regardless whether you have the ability or not, you are responsible for it, and you have the ability to take charge of what you can do.
Infinity Con is, it'll help boost out a lot of artists, especially the ones that is really into comics. A lot of exposures,
There's hidden talents and gems in Brunei itself, Brunei talents that is just getting ready to shine. We've given the opportunity.
Yes, it does give the opportunity. It does give the opening for local artists to join in and actually have the experience of doing it locally rather than overseas. Overseas you have many expenses, many things to think of. At least if they is in the comfort of their own country, they can build up the experience and the knowledge to be able to expand to the international market. That's definitely the biggest takeaway from it.
For now, just because there's a convention, you can see all these local artists popping up here and there. So imagine if there's more relatable events, and I would guarantee there's other gems, other people with hidden talents emerging. So I think we should do more about this. We should take advantage of the benefits.
But there has been a lot of people who want to to get their work out there, and they have had a lot of events. They managed to actually get out there, and Infinity Con is one of those events which I think if they do more of it, people will definitely come, not only from Brunei but from overseas. Because I know there are a lot of people who actually look at Brunei, they say, hey, Brunei is an interesting place.
If it comes to a point where we can get the right artists, the big names, I don't see why people from Australia, people from Singapore, Malaysia won't be coming here. And if there's any economic benefit, it's that it'll be very small, but you could have a small number of tourists coming into the country for a weekend to see a comic book artist. Like, it's not beyond.